Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the RockyMounts MonoRail bike rack and see how it interacts with our 2024 Nissan Rogue. Now, this is a platform hitch bike rack. It's wheel mounted, which means that there is no frame contact. This is going to mount to your wheel using a ratcheting hook and arm right here. So if you have a bike with fenders on it, you're going to want to take a look at a frame mounted bike rack, of which we have plenty of available right here at etrailer.com. But being that it's wheel mounted and no frame contact, if you have a carbon fiber frame or a custom paint job and you really don't want any contact on that at all, this would be an excellent option for you. It has a weight capacity of 60 pounds per tray, so that means it'll be able to accommodate even some of those e-bikes that are out there on the market right now as well. Now, as far as how it fits with the Rogue, the first thing I always want to take a look at is what kind of clearance do I have between the bike and the back of the vehicle itself. And this is a larger frame bike. We've got 14.5-inch handlebars. We got 4.25-inch pedals here. But as you can see, even on a rougher terrain, we're really not in too much danger of any contact being made to the back of the vehicle. There is a lot of taper here to the rear window on the Rogue though, so if you have a bike that's maybe shorter with a wider handlebar, you do want to maybe take that into account. One of the things you could do if you're worried about a little bit of contact back there is just, trim a pool noodle or something kind of foam that you could put on the end here and keep from bumping into the glass. One other thing I'll make note of is, again, this does have wider pedals, but if you're going to mount this with the pedal down here, that's really close to contacting the bumper. It's probably a good idea to make sure that this inner pedal here goes with the cavity where your license plate is located. And really, I'm not too worried about any contact on that the way it is right now, but like with any platform bike rack, you are going to run into some obstruction of visibility coming out of the back of the vehicle. In this case, through our rear window, we're going to see the handlebars and seats of our bikes. We're going to have some partial obstruction on our tail lights right here for other drivers, and we're going to have obstruction to our license plate and rear view camera. So because of those obstructions to our visibility, we're going to want to take a look at just what kind of footprint this is leaving behind our bumper. So from the bumper to the furthest point of the rack, which I'm going to call right here, we're looking at about 29 inches. So just keep that in mind. You got about 2.5 feet extra back here that you're going to have to accommodate for whenever you're backing into a tighter space or trying to parallel park. We're also going to take a look at our ground clearance. So from the furthest point of the bike rack, we're going to have about 18 inches of ground clearance, which generally speaking is more than enough not to make me worry too much about steeper inclines or driveways. However, it is something you always want to keep in mind. I had mentioned earlier that this bike rack can accommodate bikes up to 60 pounds per tray. So let's take a look at just how high we'd have to lift a bike like that in order to get it on here. So we're going to have to lift that bike up just under 20 inches in order to get it up here in the wheel cups. So, make sure that however much your bike weighs, that's a height that you're comfortable with lifting up and down. So one of the questions that we get most frequently when it comes to hitch bike racks is, will I have access into the cargo area of my vehicle? And in this case, yes, we will. Now, before I go ahead and demonstrate, one of the things that I do want to point out design-wise about the MonoRail is the fact that they go off color with all of their functions. And by that I mean, we've really got essentially a black bike rack, but all the functionality they've colored in blue. So if you're in kind of a low visibility, maybe it's really early in the morning or the sun's just about to go down, we find the buttons here that will help attach the bike to the bike rack, but we also have underneath here, we've got a handle, and that's going to allow us to tilt and raise our bike rack. So what we're going to do is just kind of brace the frame for the weight. We're going to go ahead and pull against that lever there, and we're going to ease it away from our bumper. Now with it in the tilt away position, we'll be able to come over and open our lift gate without any kind of issues or interference at all. So what that means is we can leave the bike on the bike rack, get into our cargo area, get whatever we need, whether it's more water, changing the shoes, change of clothes, get a helmet on, whatever it might be. We don't have to unload the bike in order to get back and forth in here. And maybe it's on the way home from the trail, you need to stop and get groceries or something like that. All of that becomes much easier when we could do it all leaving the bike rack as it is, as far as the bike staying on it. And in order to get it back up into its riding position, all we need to do is, once again, brace the bike. We do not need to engage the lever under here in order to do this. We just need to lift up against it until we hear that click. Now we're back and locked in our upright and riding position. And getting the bike on and off of the monorail is a really simple task as well. All you need to do is start back here with the rear wheel. We've got the button colored in that bright blue, very easy to see. We're just going to depress that, and we're going to remove our strap and feed it through the spokes and clear it out the other side. Then we'll come over here, we'll grab our hook and arm, and we're going to depress this bright blue button here on our hook. And clear it out of the way of the wheel. Now we're able to remove the bike, and now we could either store it in its storage space in the garage or wherever, or hit the trail. Now the monorail is made out of steel and aluminum and is powder coated, so it's going to be very durable and it's going to be very corrosion and rust resistant. And it weighs in at about 38 pounds, so it may not be something that you want to remove and reattach back into the hitch just when you want to take a bike ride. If you ride frequently enough, this is something that can actually live in the hitch and not give you much interference. So in order to put it in its stowaway position, we're going to go ahead and collapse our wheel cup there, and we're going to bring our arm back. Now, one of the things that we discovered is that generally speaking, a lot of people will have this kind of shortened and put down like this, which is fine. However, this does sit awfully tight against the bumper when it's in the stowaway position. So we do get a little bit of contact with this blue button on our bumper. However, if you extend it all the way to the end and bring it back here behind our rear wheel cup and then shorten it down to right there, we're not going to get any interference at all. We're going to engage that lever underneath again, except this time, instead of letting it fall away, we're going to lift up against it and bring it up against our bumper. And now we don't have any contact back here. As close as it is, there's no contact with it at all. And with it up and in its stowed position, we're going to reduce that footprint behind the bumper down to under 10 inches. So still a little something back there that you want to be mindful of, but really that's not very intrusive at all. That should be really easy to navigate in those tighter spaces. But in this position, we're going to regain all of our visibility out of the rear window. Other drivers have full visibility of our taillights. We've got most of the visibility back on our license plate, and we're going to have much better visibility out of our rear view camera. All in all, I really like how tight this hugs the bumper because, not having any of that extra hanging off. The tighter it is back here without contacting the vehicle, the better in my mind. It just helps maneuvering in those tighter spaces. So the versatility of it, the durability of it, and the ease of use and functionality of it, to me, makes the monorail a great choice for the Nissan Rogue. I especially like how close it hugs the vehicle in this stowed position the way it is right now. And I really like the fact that in its stowed position, we really do have a lot of good visibility back here. There are plenty of bike racks out there. When you get it into this position, it blocks your rear view camera even more and can just make everything a little bit more difficult to maneuver. But the monorail really leaves us with a lot of good clearance and visibility back here. So all in all, if you decide that the RockyMounts MonoRail is the bike rack for you and your Nissan Rogue, and you get it and you're able to use it a few times, please share with us what you think about it in the comments below. We would love to share your story with our other neighbors so they can make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.